Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy George Michael Perez, aka G Mike. Y'all already know what it is, baby. Been out of the loop on these Los Bandoleros Fantasy Football League weeks. Last episode it was on week 6 and we had week 7 matchups, but it's been a few weeks already of me not doing this. It's just been a little busy. It's been hard for me to get on this. So this episode, we're going to be showing you the week 7, week 8 results, but it's going to be quick. It's not going to be as long. And then we're going to see the week 9 matchups. So before we get into that, follow me on my social medias, Twitter at George Mike Perez, IG, TikTok, and YouTube, IG Mike Media _. YouTube is where you're going to catch these episodes at. And then if you haven't heard, I'm doing a podcast on all sports. It's called The G Perspective on all podcast platforms. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. And I'm sorry again that I haven't been consistent with this, but it is what it is. Sometimes you be busy and sometimes you just can't do it. But let's get into it. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to show you the week 7 results, go into the week 8 matchups and their results, and then the week 9 matchups. So first, it was me against Adonis. I lost 92.66 to 123.20. Jose beat the rookie Gio 97.98 to 90.64. The reigning champ Steve lost 119.82 to Johnny Say Word, the hottest rapper out of Miami. 146.64 points. Sheesh. One of the top scorers this week in the league for sure. Bobby, aka the legend, lost to Kev 106.10 to 109.72. That was a close matchup right there. Jawan, back-to-back champ a few years ago, lost to Ernie 89.42. Ernie got 121.96. Trash. Jawan, 89 points. Jeez. And then George, aka Losing Hurts, still is losing. He lost to the undefeated king, Tricky, 90.14. Tricky had 149.70. All right, we jump into the week 8 results. It's myself going up against Bobby, aka the legend. I won 128.54 to 76.20. We check out my players right quick. Derrick Henry, I traded for Dalvin Cook during last week, and they both went off. Both my running backs went off because my wide receivers did not do anything. Kyler Murray had the best game so far this season, 24.64 fantasy points. And then Fabi's team really didn't do much, but Terry McLaurin had a decent game. He had 113 reception yards, 6 receptions, and 16.60 fantasy points. But it wasn't good enough to even come close. Now, if I would have put DK Metcalf, because he was hurt, but then they said that he was going to play, if I would have put him in, that would have raised up the points for myself. If Bobby would have put in Antonio Gibson and Herbert in for his starting running backs, it would have been closer for him, but I still would have won by 20 points. Bobby's bench scored 62.34, and my bench scored 45.80. I improved to 4th place, 5-3, and Fabi went down to 3-5, 10th place. All right, the next matchup, sheesh, Jose had 192 points against Steve, 92.44. That's the highest scoring game by anybody ever in this league, I think, in history, but for sure this year. Jose had people scoring 14 plus more points. Only two people did not score that much, which is Dallas's defense and his kicker, but everyone else went off for Jose. It was a great week for him. Steve, he has Sam Ellinger starting at QB, so you already know that was going to be NL. And his team did not perform well. I mean, going up against a person that scores 192, you probably don't even have a chance anyways. We'll look at the bench. Yeah, Steve would have replaced some people, maybe Curtis Samuel, maybe Allen Robinson. And, maybe it would have helped him out, but not really. He still would have gotten that as well for sure. 192 points, that's crazy. Jose's bench even got 46.94 points. Steve's 38.60. Jose improved to 5th place, 4-4. Steve drops down to 9th place, 3-5. All right, and this is the matchup we wanted to see. Jawan was going up against Tricky, and finally the undefeated king gets his L. It happens. It is what it is. Still first place, 7-1, so there's nothing to be mad about. But Jawan won 142.50 to 124.12. Jawan's team did work. You got ETN. He finally has 3 good weeks on top of him, so he's going to be the starting running back there after Jacksonville traded James Robinson. Jalen Hurts doing what he does. Cooper Kupp, as always. And then you look at Tricky's team. A.J. Brown balled the hell out, but Josh Jacobs had a bad game. So if maybe Josh Jacobs had a good game, Tricky would have made it even closer, or maybe even won. He still would have remained undefeated, but that's not what it turned out to be. Jawan, if you would have put in anybody else on your bench for any of your starters, you probably wouldn't have won this week. And then the only person that went off on Tricky's bench is Kirk Cousins, but his starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson, still did work, so it wasn't really anything to do there. Jawan's bench, 16.20 points. Wow. And Tricky's bench, 23.48 points. Their benches did terrible, but Jawan came out with the win on this one. He improved to 7th place, 4-4. Tricky remains 1st place, but he got an L, so he's not the undefeated king no more. He's just the 1st place menace. All right, we got George, a.k.a. losing hurts and losing and still hurting for my dog, man. Damn, prayers up, man. 108.20 points. He went up against Adonis, a.k.a. Crypto Wolf. He put up 128.20 points. Derek Carr only scoring 1.94 fantasy points, and Devontae Adams 1.20 fantasy points. That is tough right there, especially when you got McCaffrey throwing touchdowns, catching touchdowns, and running touchdowns with 40.26 fantasy points. But Adonis's team just did work, especially DJ Moore got 27.50 points. He got a touchdown at the end of that Carolina-Atlanta game, which was crazy. Jamal Williams putting in work as well. Monster didn't do much, but we'll look at the benches right quick. If George would have subbed in anybody else, Russell Wilson for Derek Carr, he would have made it closer for sure. If he would have put in a receiver in for Devontae Adams, but he didn't really have anybody else, only Campbell. But yeah, he was taking the L no matter what. 41.64 bench points for George, 31.62 bench points for Adonis. Adonis remains 2nd place, 7-1. George remains last place, winless, 0-8. All right, we got the cousins going at it. Gio, a.k.a. the rookie, going up against Kev. Gio lost 108.58 points. Kevin got 116.28 points. Man, Brian Robertson only got 2 points for Gio. Kind of messed him up right there for sure. Kev, you had some good players, but Courtland Sutton only had 2.30 points. That is crazy. Secondary, 9.30. So if you would have subbed in anybody else for these players, if you would put in Jerry Jeudy for Sutton, it would have made your win even more. Let's see what Gio, if you would have put in maybe Jimmy G for Joe Burrow, it would have got you a little closer. You still would have lost. Dawson Knox, he would have had 0.50 more points than your tight end. So no matter what, you were losing this week. 35.30 bench points for Gio, 34.26 bench points for Kevin. Gio remains 11th place, 1-7. Kevin remains 8th place, 4-4. We got the second highest scoring team, which is Ernie's, 157.32 points. He beats Johnny, a.k.a. Johnny Say Word, 135.48 points. Ernie's team did what it does. Alvin Kamara, 42.80 fantasy points, 96 receptions, 9 receptions, 2 receptions, TDs, not even a running one. Jalen Waddle do what he does, 2 reception TDs, 106 reception yards, 8 receptions. So his team did work for sure. Johnny's team did good too. It's just Tyler Higbee only 3.50 fantasy points. And then combined with the kicker and Miami's defense, 2 points. So that was tough right there for Johnny. His team did do work though. He would have beat most of the fantasy owners in this league this week, but didn't really get it done. Ernie had Jacoby Myers on the bench with 21 fantasy points. So if he would have put him in maybe for Mike Evans or Thielen, I mean, it would have been even greater for him. Johnny, if you would have said maybe Mike Gillespie for Tyler Higbee, it would have got you closer, but I feel like you still would have lost. So a bit tough week for you. 56.60 points for Ernie, 37.60 points for Johnny. Ernie remains at third place, 6-2. Johnny drops down to sixth place, 4-4. All right, so I'm recording this Friday afternoon. So the Thursday night game already happened between Philly and Houston. So the matchups are me against Gio, aka the rookie, Jose against Johnny Say Word, the reigning champ Steve going up against Kev, Bobby, aka the legend, going up against George, aka Losing Hurts, Jawan going up against Adonis, aka Crypto Wolf, and then the first place king right now, Tricky, going up against Ernie. And right now, I got 4.20 points going up against Gio. I'm still projected to win, but it put me down because of Devontae Smith. Kevin got 7 points going up against Steve, 3 points. Steve is still projected to win that one. George got 13.90 points from Damian Pierce. He's going up against Fabi. Fabi's still projected to win that. Jawan got 20 points from Jalen Hurts. He's expected to win against Adonis. And then Tricky got 15.90 points, and Ernie got 39.30 points. Ernie's expected to win that one, so we'll check it out. But the standings as they sit right now: Tricky on top, Adonis second, Ernie third, I'm fourth, fifth Jose, sixth Johnny Say Word, seventh Jawan, eighth Kev, 9 the reigning champ Steve, 10th Bobby aka the legend, 11 Gio aka the rookie, and then 12 George aka Losing Hurts. All right, so you got the week 7 results, you got the week 8 results, and the week 9 matchups. Again, I'm sorry that I had to put it all into one video, but your boy will be busy, and the next 2 weeks is still going to remain the same, but I'm still going to try and get it in, trying to get this content out there. But I'm glad you guys are watching. Please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, and follow me on my socials: Twitter at George Mike Perez, IG, TikTok, and YouTube at GMikeMedia_. And that's where you're going to watch the episodes come out on YouTube. You know, you heard. And then the podcast itself, Don't Want to Talk About Sports, is under the G Perspective on all podcast platforms. So hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys keep watching and stay tuned, baby.